you are always both the student and the teacher at the same time. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Parenting Unmasked podcast, where we help parents unmask themselves while also helping their children unmask. We're talking neurodivergent children here. I am so excited that you are here, so excited to be doing this podcast today. I took a couple of weeks off, and now we're just kind of chilling and doing the thing. So there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on, and I have a special episode coming out for that in a little bit, probably the beginning of next week. So for right now, we are going to talk about this. There was an epiphany that came to me, and we've heard it time and time again. This is not a new thing. This is not like a brand new download that I got. This is something that's talked about a lot, but it's the truth, okay? You can be the teacher and the student at the same time in every area of your life. So I want to start out by saying that a lot of us feel stuck one way or the other in different roles, right? So maybe in your parenting, as a parent, you feel like you're always the teacher. And you have to always be the teacher, because if you are the student, then the students maybe won't respect you and listen to you and do the things that, you want them to. Maybe as a daughter, as a son, as the child to your parents, you feel like you're the student because you're supposed to respect your elders and we're supposed to, let them be the ones teaching, right? And guiding. As an employee, maybe you feel like a student. Maybe you feel like you have to take the back seat and you can't really teach people anything in that context, right? And so this is where, I'm gonna take these off because I don't like the glare. So this is where we are at, and we are going to be talking today about how we can be both and what that looks like. In this particular one, we're going to be talking about in the context of your kids, in your parenting, okay? So as you're parenting, I think a lot of times we try to always know more, always be the one on top, always be the one who, is knowledgeable and knows everything. And when we don't, it throws us for a loop. And it takes a strong parent to be able to say something like, I don't know, but let's find out together, or let's look that up, or let me teach you how you can find out for yourself. And those are all, I'm giving you all these like little tips on how, if you're having problems with that, how you can segue into teaching your kid. Like, this is how I would find out if I didn't know. So now I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing. And that is an important skill, especially for our neurodivergent kids to learn, because sometimes people just assume that we know stuff. We know social cues. We know different, maybe everybody's talking about a TV show and, you don't know this TV show, but, you can look up certain things about it so that if everybody where you're working or everybody at school is talking about this one thing, you have a little bit of knowledge that you don't feel like you're like on the outside. And teaching our kids little things like that can definitely be a help in helping them to, move through life and have a better quality of life, okay? That is the teacher part in us, okay? But as the student part of us, I think a lot of times our kids are trying to teach us things. I think any parent, once you get to a certain point, will say, my kids have taught me patience. They've taught me about unconditional love. Like, those are the main things where that's like a thing where it is, right? Then you can, move down a little bit to other things, like having a growth mindset, okay? A lot of times our kids, when they're super little, are just curiosity asks questions, want to know all the things, right? And so if they want to know, that's because they don't know, and they're learning that if they ask a question, they're going to get an answer and they're going to learn that. Sometimes as parents, I think we dismiss their questions. We roll our eyes, or we are busy, especially when you're neurodivergent yourself. It's difficult because you can be in a place where you can be hyper-focused on something or whatever, and you don't have the words because of how hyper-focused you are to come across in a, not harsh tone. Sometimes we're just so aggravated because, we just got hyper-focused on this thing and we need to get it done. And now all of a sudden we have to stop. And it feels annoying in the moment. It feels like we can't kind of move on, like we're stuck in this moment. But if we just take a minute and like think about it and are like, okay, I need to find ways. I need to find ways that when my kid does things, I love it when I was watching something on TV and the one parent said that like they taught the kid to like touch my hand. And when you touch my hand, that's our signal for like, I need to talk to you. I need your attention. And that is a good like cue that then you can kind of come down, stop what you're doing, but it's not like your kid comes up and asks you right away and it breaks your concentration and then you react, right? We talk a lot about responding versus reacting, and that takes time. It's a learned, like, kind of, you put yourself through this like slowly learning to change your behavior, right? And so this is another place where it's like, if we can teach our kids the cues, then we can come off maybe a little less frustrated, a little less, annoyed, and allow them to ask questions, which means that, we can explain things. And then that happened to us, I think, a lot as kids, a lot of times. And when that happens to us, then we're in a space where we feel like we can't ask questions. We have to know everything first. Like, that puts that gap. That's like that you can't be learning while you're, teaching. And that's entirely wrong. You're always supposed to be doing both, and you're just supposed to be juggling it back and forth. So I'm going to take a moment. We're going to take a small break, and we will be right back. All right, guys, we have to talk about the Out of the Darkness walk in Indianapolis. It is in September. I believe it's September 9th. If not, I'll put it up on the screen when it is. But it is in September. It is suicide prevention and awareness. And we do this every year with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They're an amazing community. They come together. They help provide awareness. They help provide counseling and therapy to people who are suicide survivors. They do so much for the suicide community. And I just really need to. I have tried year after year after year to get a group, to get a big group. And I know that the circus team can show up and show out. So guys, I am going to post the link to my, the Neuro Circus walk team. And if you cannot be here in person, it's in Indianapolis. If you cannot be in beautiful Indianapolis, sign up virtually, okay? Sign up virtually, sign up for the team. Help us help hundreds of people who need the help, who need therapy, counseling, who need, to just know that there's a community out there. Help us to reach communities who are being, ostracized, and it's creating that desire for those things to happen, which is just not a good thing. We know in the neurodivergent community that is one of the places where sometimes that shows up as a way to get rid of all of the feelings of sad and, being bullied and all of that. And that's not good, and it's not okay. So at the Neuro Circus, we take that near and dear to our heart, because we know that there's a lot of our people that this organization helps. So I will leave the date and the link and everything in the description below. I will get you right back to the podcast. Welcome back. So we just talked about how our kids teach us things, right? They teach us patience, they teach us unconditional love. I think those are just like two that kids in general teach us. When it comes to neurodivergent families, I think a lot of times we have to learn the growth mindset. And it starts out as our kids, being inquisitive and wanting to know things. And we can kind of train that out of them and train them into feeling like they have to know things before they're worthy. Like, I can't really ask questions. I'm just supposed to know this stuff. So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about one thing that this is a hard one for me, okay? It's simple pleasures. And I say that because I feel like a lot of times, especially if you are a ambitious neurodivergent yourself, you probably have a lot of dreams and goals and desires and plans and just a lot of stuff all the time. And when we get handed children that require more help, that require more, tending to, that require all of this, it can feel like we have less time for those big plans and big dreams and whatever. And that can make us feel resentful at times. It can make us feel frustrated. It can make us feel like, well, I'm ambitious and I'm doing all this stuff. And if you are neurodivergent, I'm the same way. I have the same kinds of things. So my kid just needs to get it together and learn it and whatever. But those beginning years are super important for us to take the time. Okay, take the time to spend with them, take the time to make them feel safe, to make them feel, comfortable and like they belong and like they themselves are okay. Answer their questions, learn about them, right? Learn about them. We're going to talk in the next couple of things about ways that we can learn about them that will help us to help them and help others to help them. But this one is, I don't know, it's near and dear to my heart, because sometimes I feel the back and forth. I feel like, there's so much that I want to do, and I want to have this big, like, not necessarily the big calling, the big whatever, but I want to help so many people. I don't want any family to feel like they're by themselves, like they don't have any help, like they're just floating around by themselves. And so I tend to put too much on my plate and stuff because of that. And then I get resentful when I have to have those moments. But if we really think about it, a lot of the things that we want, we were told that we wanted because other people wanted them, okay? Don't get me wrong. I legit want a house with a bedroom for everybody in it. Everybody have their own bedroom, an extra bedroom for just whatever. I want my own office. I want a hot tub. Like, those are things I legit want because I feel like that is beneficial to our family. I feel like that makes everybody I think that would be beneficial to our family. I feel like everybody would have their own space within that. And, those are all good things in my way of looking at it. But I don't necessarily want a private jet. Although it would be nice to have your own private jet, right? To be able to just go wherever you wanted to go on a jet. And, there are some things where I could see them being a good thing, but that's not a focus right now. And I think that's part of where we're at. You have to enjoy the simple pleasures, right? Enjoy the being able to take the kids to the pool, or, you know, a nice quiet evening with a movie and, you know, just some together time. And I think a lot of times, like I said, we're in this hustle bustle culture of go, go, go. And it can feel very much like if you're not going, you're behind, you're not good, you're not worthy. And that is so far from the truth. We're in a space where we need to feel safe. Our kids need to feel safe. We need to have regulated nervous system. Regulated nervous systems are like, that's success right there. If you can keep your nervous system regulated, if you can keep yourself from, like, you can feel excited and that's fine. Or you can feel like a sense of uncertainty or a sense of, you know, nervousness. But it doesn't send your whole body into complete fight or flight where you just can't, like, you're regulated. You know that in the end, you're going to be okay. And that is the goal right there, right? That is the goal, to keep those nervous systems regulated, because your frequency is going to be in a much better place. You're going to be able to receive all the things that are coming to you. Okay, so simple pleasures. You know, a lot of times my kids are like, I don't want to go here or go there. You know, maybe spend some money at like Dollar Tree or something, but I don't want super expensive stuff. I don't want to go to expensive places. They like to, but I'd be just as happy taking a walk to the park and playing for an hour or two. And as parents, we need to remember those things, and we need to make sure we're adding them in, and that we are fully, like, being present in those moments. Okay, so we're going to take another little break here, and we will be right back. May is huge here at the Neuro Circus. So I just want to take a few moments to say how extremely excited I am for all of the fun and amazing stuff we have coming up from May through September. It's going to be nothing but a party and all kinds of fun in so many different ways. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to talk about May specifically, and then we will touch on a couple other things real fast and move back to the podcast. So first off, we are rolling out our re-grand opening in May. The Neuro Circus has been around on social media for about a year and a couple of weeks now. But May was when we really jumped in. May was when I launched my 3 books. May was when I started really doubling down on TikTok posting and things like that. And I'm just really excited to be in this space, to be able to bring you guys just a month full of fun. Okay, so we're going to start out starting on May 5th. Yes, Cinco de Mayo. We're going to start with our Abundantly Aligned Action Challenge. It's going to be a monthly challenge, guys. It's going to be free. It's going to come to your inbox. You're going to get, buy it like 2 times a week. On Mondays and Thursdays, you're going to get emails to your email. It's going to have links to videos. We are going to talk about all the things to move you from a place where you have a big vision but don't really know where to go, to taking those abundantly, divinely aligned action steps in order to just rock your manifestations. I'm so excited about this. I have so much behind the scenes stuff and all of that. So that's going to start happening on the 5th. I'm going to, all next week, we're going to have some big fun things going on leading up to that, to, you know, just kind of promote that. May 17th is a big day, guys. We are relaunching, or I should say launching again, or launching on its own. The new book, which is going to take all 3, the center ring, the first ring, and the third ring, and it's going to combine them into one book with fun stories and fun little examples and different things to help you really bring the Neuro Circus, the rings of that circus, to life in your life. So I'm ridiculously excited. We're going to do all of the rest of May. So from the 17th, when it launches, all the way through to the end of May, if you buy the book during that time, I'm going to have a special 6-week coaching program to help you go through the book. We're going to do live calls. We're going to do hot seats. It's going to be amazing and so much fun. So that is at the end of May. June and July are going to be summer camp, which I'm so excited about. We're going to be helping you guys bring your own summer camps to your own areas, as well as creating an online one for those who don't necessarily want a bunch of kids in their yard or at their park and stuff. We're going to do it where we can have just a bunch of fun, and we can take pictures and videos, and the kids can kind of get to know each other in a tight-knit community. And that is going to be the start of, I want a drum roll, and I don't have a drum roll, but I'm so excited. That's going to be the start of our homeschool co-op too. Starting in September, we're going to start the homeschool co-op. August is going to be the intro to that. We're going to have a challenge to getting your homeschool ready. So many good things. And I'm so excited for just all of this. It feels like so much momentum, but in the best way possible, guys. I'm so excited. So I will leave you back to the podcast, but keep May in mind. This is so exciting. Okay, so here is our last 2 little points. And I spoke about both of these just a little bit in the other ones. But 2 more things that our children can teach us, okay, that we should be learning from our kids. First one is sensory types, okay? So, and not everybody's gonna like completely prescribe to each one, right? But a lot of times we know that our kids either need more stimulation or less stimulation as a whole, right? And so knowing that and being able to balance how to give our kids what they need, but also how to teach other people what they need. Sometimes I think we're like, oh, well, I like loud music, so I don't know why my kids don't. Or I don't like it when there's like clutter everywhere, so I can't possibly understand why my kids, there's a saying, I think that it became popular, I don't know, maybe when maybe with my parents' generation, I don't know, but it's like, you can't be my kid. Like, you can't be my kid because you don't do this one thing that I do. And, you know, we joke, and it is a joke, like, because we know that they are obviously our kids and whatever, but it's that moment of, like, we think that our kids are supposed to be just like us. And a lot of times they're not. And some of the time there are things that we do that they just are completely like, no, I don't like that. I don't want that. Like, you know, and then on the flip side of that, there can be things where they take directly to us. So one of those places, like I said, sensory type. So maybe it's having bright lights in your house, or like dim lights might make somebody tired or lethargic, or, you know, be in a more depressed state, where bright lights might perk them up and make them happy. The same thing can be said for, like, you know, noises. So like, I like my music loud. I like my movies loud. I like to be able to feel, like, I want my body to feel the music, the beats, the rumbling of thunder on a movie or whatever. Whereas other people are like, no, thank you. Like, that sends my nervous system into complete dysregulation right there. But knowing this about our kids, okay, and then knowing how to explain that to other people. We're going to talk in the other podcast about how we can take what we're learning from our kids and we can help teach other people what we're doing or what's going on and what's working. And that is our advocacy. That is where we become. I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, I think advocacy is like being a teacher, but it's being a teacher on steroids, because once we become an advocate, a lot of times there is this like pushback. Like, we feel like we are advocating. We need to like get our point across. People are not listening to us. We get defensive. And that is a bad way to get your point across. If you're trying to get your point across and people aren't listening to you, take a step back and just like, where are you at in this cycle? Where are you at in this, teacher-student kind of cycle there, right? And where are your beliefs at? We're going to talk about that in the next one. But coming down to a place where we don't feel like we have to push all of our own wants and needs and desires on our kids, but rather we can see them as individuals. We can see them as little people who have their own desires and their own ways of being, and they like their own things. And it's okay for me to like loud music and for you not to. And I need to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? I need to be more accepting, maybe, in how I do things. So maybe I like listening to loud music because it pumps me up and it gets me going. And that is the truth. Like, I do like loud music. And one of my children does not. I think both of them actually do not like it. And so they go into their own rooms, and, you know, that is a thing. But then for me to say like, well, why are you always in your rooms? And why are you always like not doing stuff with us? But it's like, I'm not inviting them in. I'm making this all about me, and I get what I want, but they don't get what they want. And so as the students, I get to learn that it is okay for me to have some of what I want, but I have to balance that. And so that means sometimes the music comes down a little bit. Sometimes I let them choose what we're doing. Sometimes, and that makes them feel important and special and like they matter and like they have a voice. It's all of these little things where we give them a little bit of a say, right? Maybe they have sensory issues with food, and you were raised in that household where it's, I cook, I decide what we're having for dinner, I cook what we're having, you can eat it or you cannot. But if you have day after day for a whole week of stuff that your kid does not feel comfortable eating. And, you know, this is where I had a lot of problems when my oldest was little, because she came, like, you know, both of our families were very that way. Like, you're the parent, you cook what you want, and then if they don't like it, they don't have to eat. They're obviously not that hungry. And I got to a place where I felt my hands were tied, right? I felt like my hands were tied, because I felt like on one hand, I've got all these people telling me that I'm being wrong for parenting the way I want to parent. And yet, like, I have so much proof on the other end that I'm right. But I couldn't tell these people anything, because all they kept saying is, you're giving in. But it was from a space of, they were not being teachable. They were not able to be taught in that moment. They wanted to be the teacher, and they didn't think that they could learn while they were being the teacher. They thought, nope, my way or the highway, this is the way it goes. You need to be the same, or you're not doing it right. And it's because as they saw what I was doing was actually working and helping, it took their excuses away. Now it's no longer, you have to do it this way or it's going to be bad. Now it's, you know, okay, you did it your way and you still got the results you wanted. You know, it makes them unable to just say this, it's my way or the highway. Now they either have to admit that they were wrong, or they have to hold tight to that and call you wrong. So, and those are places that, especially in neurodivergent culture, because for us, okay, for my generation, for people who are, say, 45 to 25, I think in that area, a lot of females especially went undiagnosed. And now we are starting to resonate with the diagnoses. And that is it's culture shock. It's like I was told for so long that I just needed to do the thing and I just needed to whatever. And now we're coming to a place where we're really having to work through, and we're going to talk about this on the other podcast, obviously, but we're really having to work through that. And we need to come to this place where we realize that we need to be able to learn from our kids. Our kids have lots to teach us, okay? They have, like I said, patience, unconditional love, growth mindset, the simple pleasures in life, sensory types, and, talking about regulated nervous systems, okay? Now, granted, I don't think they can teach us regulated nervous systems, but they can teach us how, if we aid in their regulated nervous system, they're going to do better. They're going to outperform. They're going to shine in ways that we can't even imagine because they feel safe and they feel accepted and they feel okay in who they are. And that is huge. That is another huge thing. And we are going to talk about that, like I said, on the other podcast, how other people in our life, right? They can either help or harm us trying to help regulate our kids' nervous systems. And that's where we need to step up and be the teacher in all of this. So I am ridiculously excited that you were here. I hope that you got tremendous value out of this. Again, we are always the student and the teacher in every area. And it is up to us to just go inside in each place. If you ever feel stuck, if you feel stuck in your career, in money, in, a relationship, in health, whatever it is, where are you either being the student too much or the teacher too much? Okay. This is Kimberly Cox. I'm Kimberly Cox. This is the Parenting Unmasked podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you next week. Have a good one.